Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Geeks and Degenerates. Today is the start of Spooky Month, and this month we'll be talking about mostly horror. So we'll start off this month with a movie that, I was told was the scariest movie when it came out, and it definitely holds up. It really does. It's done by the master of horror James Wan and came out in 2013. Stars Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, and it's about the real life story of this family that has some spooky shit going on in their house. Really spooky shit. So, how do you think? This movie holds up all these years later?
I'll let Nina go first.
First, for me, yes, because I was still very much scared. The Conjuring was probably the first horror movie that I enjoyed. Now, there's a difference between enjoying something for enjoyment's sake and then enjoying it because it scares you. And I'm a big scaredy cat, and Enzo knows this, and that's why I'm only going to participate in one for the first week because I can't handle more than one.
I was wondering how did you sit through watching this alone?
Because The Conjuring is personally, a really enjoyable horror movie. It's not just a horror movie because it's just there to spook you for whatever, cheap scares, right? I really enjoyed when I was younger watching it because it was the suspense that got to me, it was the lore that got to me, and I think I enjoyed the characters of Ed and Lorraine Warren. I really enjoyed seeing them on screen, and I loved it whenever they popped up. I loved their chemistry. I loved the way they would talk and be super professional and stuff like that. Because I don't know, I'm really into I know I'm scared of a lot of things, but there was a point in my life where I was very into the supernatural, and so it's just reminding me of somebody we know, but I won't say the name. But there's a certain, but who taught me a lot about spiritual stuff. So I was very into supernatural things, and seeing investigators who knew what they were, quote unquote knew what they were doing. It was very fun to watch. So I really think it holds up. I still got scared, but not as scared as I was when I was 13, because in fairness, I have watched this movie probably, counting the time that I watched it for this video, 4 to 5 times in the last, how many years has it been? Yeah, in the last decade.
Almost a decade.
Almost a decade, yeah. I think it was really enjoyable, so yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. I going into this around the time when it came out, I didn't really like horror movies. I really get scared. Even playing Left 4 Dead, I couldn't handle it. So I was like, what more with this fucking movie?
You couldn't handle Left 4 Dead, neither did I. I still get scared. I still get scared, and I'm 21.
Yeah. I mean, as of now, I'm okay with horror stuff. I watch this alone from time to time. I watch horror movies alone. Better with friends.
Better with friends.
Anyway.
Remember when we used to watch movies with friends?
Oh.
Anyway, yes.
Anyway, continue. Sorry.
But yeah. To be honest, as what you asked, it's this movie does hold up, and I think it will hold up later on into the future. Especially what it doesn't feel like those movies where it's it is. No offense to Stephen King and Hitchcock. Their horror is kind of dated. Well, this one does not feel dated. Even after almost a decade of it existing, it does not feel dated. The scares aren't, they're not just out of nowhere just to scare you. The suspense doesn't drag on too long, and there's always a reward, good or bad, to the viewer.
Yeah.
Of whatever James Wan was building up to in this scene, there's a payoff. It might be good, might be bad, but that's what we're gonna discuss in this video.
Yeah, exactly.
There's evidence that there might be a gene in some people where it might skip a generation, where some people are more attuned to watching horror movies, and some are just scaredy cats. Me, I'm kind of a scaredy cat. But
oh, both of you.
It's interesting
all
that
of us here are really scared.
how people I avoided this movie because like the tutor was like, I'm too scared to watch this shit
Yeah.
alone. But like it's interesting how most people love horror movies that are good. Because it's not just the scares, it's the story within it. And this one has a particularly good story, which is focuses on this family and the witch that is haunting them. It also focuses on the relationship between Ed and Lorraine Warren, which Patrick Wilson's and Vera Farmiga's chemistry is amazing in that. And
I love them. I love them on screen together.
Same here.
I love them.
yeah, and those two, Patrick Wilson for once, like becoming one of my favorite actors. Like everything he's in, he's good at. Even though the movie is crap, he's like, I like that guy.
I haven't seen him in as a lead. Well, actually, except for this one, he's
Yeah.
somewhat of a lead.
But he's kind of like it's weird because technically he's not the main lead, you know, like we still focus on the family a lot. I think that's the
Yeah.
thing with horror movies though, but whatever.
Yeah,
It's
well, I want to
he
see
is
him.
a lead. He is a
Yeah,
lead.
I want to see him more as a lead.
Yeah, same.
It's funny too, because the writers for this are, I believe they are born again Christians. So it's like, for something to conjure up that's so dark, it's like, wow, doesn't matter what faith you're in.
Hey,
A
hey,
good
man.
writer is a
Christ-
good writer. Is a good writer. at the end of
Christians
the
can
day.
make scary shit too.
That is true.
Because if you don't mind me jumping off from that point, because the thing is that something that I was watching with somebody and they had mentioned like, you know, the one thing that they were kind of nitpicky about with the movie was that they don't like the idea that you have to be Christian to be saved from a demonic entity. And I realized, like, you telling me that they're born again Christians, it makes sense because they're like, oh, you know, like we have to call the church and we have to put iconography of the cross and stuff like that because it's gonna make them feel bad, the demon feel bad. Like I was like, oh, now it makes sense why they say that. And of course it makes, you know, in terms of like the I know this is weird to say the lore and the ethos of the Bible, but like if you're looking at it from a story perspective, there's a lot of horror when it comes to like things like the angels and and devils and demons, and there's a lot of like, if you're looking at it from a perspective unlike us who have had like a lot of religious trauma growing up, you know.
Wow.
You know, like
okay.
Jesus.
Sure.
I don't know about them, but I genuinely have a lot of religious trauma because of our no, but that's a thing for another day. You know, when you think about the story, like it's very interesting, including things like iconography of the Bible, the cross, Jesus, and stuff like that, because there's, you know, lore to it. A lot of like stories, like let's say, I think it was it's the one where they go underneath the catacombs in France. If anyone remembers that.
Was this as above, so below?
Yeah, yeah.
As above, so
You-
below.
you-
It was very interesting. You know, that was like Dante's Inferno level of interesting also, which has its roots in Christian like Bible stuff. So you know,
Christian
it
Bible
makes
stuff.
sense. Bible stuff. I don't know if the term ethos is right because I forget I forget if I'm using it right. But yeah. Yan lang, it's just very interesting. It's like think like Japanese Shintoism and like lore and stuff. You know, they're just using it's just them using Christian stuff. So that's it. You know,
I
interesting,
mean,
right?
would you expect, like, of course the Christians are gonna make a really good, scary, demonic movie because that's
About
what they're
the
really
witch.
scared of.
Yeah, that's what they're really scared of. You
So of
know,
course they're gonna make one.
What I really love too is the family. Like even the kids, you're like, you're not annoyed by the kids. You're like genuinely fearful for them. Like I hope nothing bad happens to them. Especially like Kissing Boot Girl. Like please don't harm her.
wait, who? Sorry, Christian
Yeah, Joey
Joe
King.
King.
Joey King.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's-
you meant Kissing Booth Girl. I was like Christian Booth Girl. I misheard Christian. Booth.
Are you back at high school, my dude?
Yeah.
It's around the time. But yeah, Kissing Boot Girl, Joe King is excellent in this. So is Mackenzie Davis. Like none of the kids are annoying. Like they're really good kid actors. And when shit happens to them, we're like, I hope they don't die. I hope
Yeah,
their
you
parents
actually
don't die
feel
too.
for them.
All right, Renesmee is here.
Karen has
It's
Oh
a
my
dumbass
God.
name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a time. It's Twilight. What do we expect from it? Anyway,
We're not talking about
yeah, we're not talking. It's another horror story on its own.
that.
I think the most iconic scene from this movie is the
Oh, I
Yeah,
hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that so fucking
I love
much.
how the movie plays like there's sound, and then for one quick moment there's no sound. You're like, oh fuck, something's about to happen.
Yeah, okay. So like, because of this movie, and I watched it recently, like, and I tend to do my like drawing stuff at night. So after watching this movie, anything that I would hear like a plate falling because like maybe a creature hit it or it just fell over. For me, back in the day, I'm like, alright. But now when I hear that, I'm like,
You have to take. You have a slower
I'm like-
take. Like you're like, oh.
yeah. And I go up my room, I hear a creak, I'm like, so fuck this movie. I mean, it did a pretty good job, but now I'm at unease by everything that I found normal.
I'm genuinely impressed by James Wan. I realized like James Wan made a lot more other really good scary movies that I enjoyed over time. Like I said, there's a different enjoyment when it comes to horror movies, and I've been very disappointed by a lot of them over time. Now that and like James Wan has not made. Okay, I'm not gonna say he's not made, but he's made majority of the movies that I've watched that were horror enjoyable and were like, something worth remembering. And you guys know he did Dead Silence? I actually really liked that movie too. It
What?
scared the shit. He made Dead Silence, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the reason why I'm scared of puppets.
he's one of the people who did the first Saw movie too.
He did the first Saw
Oh
movie,
my
the
god,
one where
I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Okay, okay. Sorry, Malignant is like.
Maligma.
How dare you?
It was just a little bit off for me because it felt more like a superhero movie. instead of a
Yeah,
horror.
but like
No
I
spoilers,
feel like
no spoilers. No
I feel like that's like
Oh no.
we trust you enough to do whatever the fuck you want.
I guess.
yeah, it's very annoying. I think James
It was
Wan.
entertaining though.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that James Wan is able to make like Insidious and make like the first Insidious. At least I don't know what he did from the other points on, but like same with the Conjuring. Like he's made very distinct movies that when you realize are his movies, you actually come to think to yourself like, wait, that was his movie? Like it was so different. Like the direction of Conjuring versus like let's say Dead Silence or even Insidious, they all have a different tone and a different take on the same genre. Don't you guys think?
I agree. It has the same DNA. I will say now, if you mention like to somebody, oh, James Wan did these movies, you kind of see the same DNA. But if you go in without knowing that he did these movies,
Yeah.
you would think it's completely different director.
Yeah, you would. I
Yeah.
thought the same for Dead Silence. But yes,
Yeah,
go
same
ahead,
here.
Enzo.
And he's also very chameleon, good director because he can go from Saw to this to Fast and Furious 7 to Aquaman.
Yeah, to
God.
Aquaman. I was thinking Aquaman was like a really distinctive. Like,
Yeah.
are we sure? Are we sure we want the horror man for a super? And you know, it's not to say that you can't do it. It's just saying like, when you had track record of a certain genre and doing it so well, you can't imagine them doing anything else. You kind of think to yourself like, what made them decide that this was a choice, you know? And he did really good in Aquaman. It was really good for me. I don't know about other people, but I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
I love that.
Enjoyed, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just interesting, right? That he's such a great director, and I think he's very distinct in his tone, but also is incredible in making every other franchise, regardless of whatever genre it's in, very distinct and its own like thing, like its own monster to a certain extent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For me, all the scenes, going back to Conjuring, all the scenes with the witch is where I freaked the fuck out the most. Like the scene where they're outside and like he's like in front of the tree and she turns around and you can see the body. Like, oh, that's
Just
spine chilling.
hanging.
Yeah.
And the
I was like,
hanging
"Ah."
body.
Or like
that always gets me. Like I never, like I know it's coming, but it always gets me and it always
Yeah.
raises the hair behind my neck. Like, ah,
And then you hear her backstory, like, Jesus fucking Christ.
where like she just hung herself at 3'7".
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
307. She murdered her own kid that she was born just a few days before to the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said, "I love you, devil." And just,
Hello, Joma.
yeah, no, that's what she said. It's in the script.
The scene where the wife is possessed and she's like convulsing into the witch, like, oh fuck that shit.
Hmm.
What scenes were there really scared you the most? Because for me, it's always the witch. It's like, fuck this movie.
The ones that scared me the most were, I think, anything that had to do with like Lorraine. Oh my god! Actually, the one with their child. Their child really scared me because the one with the child, they're like Lorraine and Ed's child, who was getting chased by the witch herself. Like
I
that
don't-
really stressed me out for some reason because I think there's a difference when adults are getting chased or adults are getting scared, but when there's like a helpless child, you feel like the helpless child because you're like, what do you do? Like you don't have anything that can fight against it. You're not Ed and Lorraine who can fucking like speak Latin and whatever or be clairvoyant, whatever, right? You're a child. What are you gonna do?
Well, if a child starts speaking Latin, you know it's too late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know it's too late.
Has a rocking chair almost yeeted at her. It's like, fuck. Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, it was really scary because the Annabelle doll was there too, and I was like, oh.
That's such a haunting beginning for this movie because I kind of forgot how it begins, and then when it goes blam, you're in front of Annabelle. Fuck, holy fuck! I forgot it begins this way.
I know. Actually, from the first scene alone, like the way that they're able to hold the suspense, it was really impressive. But I do have to ask. I don't know what relevance it served other than just being there to be another movie at a certain point.
I think it was
have
like
no
an
idea.
introduction to the Warrens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
that's what
like
makes
you see at the first part, I love how the Warrens are written. It's because like when they go into a house, they're not like there's a presence here. No, they're skeptics until something happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they proved that they were skeptics. They were like, there's always a rational reason.
Yeah, there's like a pipe that's expanding
Yeah,
the
and-
wood and it makes a little sounds. I'm like,
They show it too. They're like,
Yeah.
you're not always like, there's something here. I sense a disturbance in the force.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
I think it goes to show that they are genuine professionals. To them it's like, and like it, if anything, to them supernatural reasons are the last and whatever.
yeah,
it's
like
the last of
like
the last.
what they want is the last thing that they want is a supernatural event.
Yeah, they don't take advantage of the people that ask them for help, and I think that goes to show, like, I love how they're written as well, like you said, Chum. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, again, I just love the actors, and I love them so much. Well, I just have so much love for Anne and Lorraine, and I was so stressed out for them because obviously there was no Conjuring 2 yet. I was so afraid that they would die, and it was like, well, I really hope they don't die. It would suck, even though they're based on real people, and you know they lived a long life.
It's
Until
like, should I Google this? Just in
yeah,
case?
like, should I Google this? But you know,
Yeah.
they can take creative liberties to, like, I guess, you know, even if it's based on a true story, being based on a true story doesn't mean they're gonna completely follow everything in the timeline. You still have to make an entertaining movie, so. But
And-
that's a topic for another day, as a
Yeah.
writer.
And to my knowledge, Lorraine finds these movies great portrayals of them. Like, cause I think Ed had already passed away before the first one came out.
Yeah, he did. He
And
did.
then like she saw the first one, she tells the writers or the director like, "Oh my God, you brought my husband back to life." Cause that's
Oh.
Damn, you look like him. Damn, girl. Good
Damn, I
for
wish my
you.
husband looked like Patrick Wilson too.
Good for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, one of the scariest parts, and is for me, is the one that stood out the most because I have a special attachment to it. Because I had a little cousin, and my little cousin, he tends to just waddle. He still pretends he's a baby, but he's like 6 or 5. And like, he can't stand up. He always needs to get carried. I was like, I see your bullshit. And then right there, me and my family were watching The Conjuring, and then they're playing the clapping game. And then my other cousin was like, "Oh, you gotta get Angelo. You gotta get Angelo." I'm like, "No. Wait. It was the scene where she looks into the cabinet, nothing is there. Then she looks up,
and she looks up.
and then there's something above her. This little boy booked it upstairs. I was like, called it bullshit. To all you little kids, I know it. I know it. Y'all bullshit. But that's my favorite scene, and that was one of the scenes that scared me. But at that moment, I was just happy. I'm a horrible person. I know. I'm sorry.
You guys remember another point that scared me? Sorry, right before we go, but was also really funny. Was the one with the maid and the officer. That really got to me because he punches the lady. And I didn't remember that scene, so when I watched it again, I laughed really hard. I was scared because she was like, she made me do it, and I was like, oh, this is terrifying. Wow, scary. And then when he punches it, I was like, Jesus Christ. That was funny. That was funny. Anyway, that was just another notable scene. We can move on.
I don't know.
Whatever happens in that officer's career going forward, nothing will be as wild as this shit. Like, I've seen some shit. Real spooky shit.
Oh God. I don't know. I hate how James Wan does his long takes. You know, he does this whole one-shot thing where he just follows somebody around.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop it. Just stop.
I was really impressed. This movie was the first thing that made me, like, after the fact, after watching it the first time, it was the first movie that I realized, like, how well horror sounds can be utilized for the sake of a movie. Because, you know, a lot of the fear comes not just visually, but also the sound, like audio, right? Like audio wise, it was very interesting. So after the fact, I was very impressed because watching it again, I was like, I hate the sounds. I hate this movie. Like, you know, because when you remove your earphones or mute it or something, right? It becomes a little less scary, you know, unless you're, you know, a silent place or something. But even then, they have sounds, you know. So, wala lang. It was very impressive. It's the first movie that made me realize how well sounds can be utilized for horror. That also made me hate it because, Jesus Christ, that's really terrifying.
Yo, I hate every scene that Lorraine. I swear to God, the balls on Lorraine. She would go into like, what was it like?
You went into that behind the closet.
Behind the closet, there's like a little like passageway. I'm like, no.
Stop it.
You know, I actually said to myself, I was like, why wasn't Ed with her at least? You know, like there was enough for two people.
I'm like, my God! And then she finds the rope where there's the rope that the witch hung herself with. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I would have just peeked. I'm like, oh no, and I was just gone. I would have had somebody else take it.
And for a movie that deals with supernatural things, I'm glad that this movie's ending is like, it's not bullshit. It's like, really, they did that, but no, it's done in such a realistic manner. Well, realistic, but it's like it's done in a believable manner. Like, I see the real life story ending this way. Sure, why not?
Yeah, like it's very logical the way that they ended it. It was that I forget, it's off the top of my head, but like no one died, right?
No one died.
Yeah, it was very interesting to me because that was the first horror movie that I'd watched. Like I watched multiple horror movies, but a lot of the time they make use of like deaths very like slovenly. Like it was very just them going like, oh, they died, whatever. Like it was actually very interesting that no one died, and I found it very like relieving, but also very like believable because at the end of the day, like no one really died from these encounters. You know, it was a very terrifying time for the people involved, but like it was very interesting that no one died. It was a creative choice that I was like, okay, I can actually get behind this. You know, but yeah.
And Drummer mentioned Hitchcock. Like, I wonder if the birds crashing through the car in the house is like an homage to the birds from Hitchcock. Like, I just wonder that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's straight up Hitchcock, like, you know, an homage to him. Oh God, going back to Annabelle. Have you guys seen the actual Annabelle doll?
Yeah, it's just the cloth doll. It's not like a porcelain one.
A Raggedy Ann.
Raggedy Ann, yeah, it's just a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah. I have one upstairs.
Oh, nice.
NECA.
I mean,
it ain't. It's one of the dolls I hated the most in there, and I'm like, when I grew up and saw this movie, I'm like, I had a reason. God told me, stay away.
NECA.
The Holy Spirit.
I
The
think
Holy
Big,
Spirit protected me.
I think Big Boys has one for sale, and like I was like, I kind of want to get it, just to display it in my room.
A Raggedy Ann or
or
an
like Annabelle, like a really good looking figure, and like a chair. I'll just display it next to my Batman. Like, look, guys.
How would you sleep at night knowing that this creepy ass doll, like porcelain dolls, they're not even meant to look creepy. They're supposed to look cute and attract, like girls to buying them. They're still creepy as fuck.
No, I think just dolls in general, like it triggers our uncanny valley kind of senses, and that it's something that should be human like but is not, and that's what triggers like the creepy factor for a lot of people. So I think, I don't know, this is me just BSing it because it's just what I think is the case, you know. So that's it.
And I sleep in the attic too, so like right across from me is where the dolls are placed.
Oh no.
So like I'm sleeping. If I just turn to my left, they're just staring at me. I'm like, awesome possum.
Yeah, though I would argue Animal's not as scary as that creepy monkey from Toy Story 3, where it's like psycho eye as a symbol. It's like, fuck that shit. Or give me Animal all day.
Wait, you're more scared of that than
Yeah,
Animal
yes. Because Animal, I was like, Toy Story 3, I literally screamed in the theater like, ah!
I like how you were scared of the Toy Story movie. You know what scared me when the toys, like, off topic? It was the baby head.
The baby head with the spider legs.
The baby head with the spider legs. That was I don't know. I don't know why they greenlit that for a children's movie, but whatever. It's still
I never
scary.
looked forward to
that
Toy
portion
Story
of
1.
the movie.
I never looked to Toy Story 1 or Toy Story 2?
Toy Story 1, yeah, you're right.
Toy Story 1.
We get too off track.
Right.
Speaking of Annabelle, I think the worst thing to come out of this movie is the horrible spin-offs, to be honest.
Yeah, I hate
Which
it.
spin-offs are you thinking of, is my question.
Annabelle
Because I have
and
a
the
couple
Nun.
in my head.
Lala Llorona or something.
La Llorona, yeah.
That
That was I
can't
Yeah,
say.
other than the main Conjuring movies, those were difficult to watch, and I was very disappointed, even though they were, The Nun was a funny movie. It was
Yeah.
a funny movie, in fairness. Not because it was scary for the cheap jump scares, but it was also funny for me because when I would be watching them with friends, it's the roller coaster of just consistent scares. And not even the good ones, just the really cheap ones. And it was really funny watching it because I got to I watched it before my friends watched it. I don't know what came over me watching it by myself, but I did. So when I watched it again, it was really funny to see all my friends scare. So yeah, I call it a roller coaster movie. It's just there for the thrills, not the actual scares.
I saw Animal a few years ago. I was like, wow, this is the best and worst of porn acting.
It's the one with the doll and then
Yeah.
the Origins, right? Did you watch Origins too?
I didn't even touch Origins. Like, fuck that.
I only
I
watched
gave up.
Origins. I didn't watch the first one.
Yeah.
I heard the second one was pretty decent. But I haven't seen it yet.
But when you start at the bottom, it's not hard to pass that.
When the
Okay.
standard is that low, it's not hard to get a
Look,
decent. at least.
like okay. The only thing I like about this entire Conjuring universe is just the first Conjuring movie. That's it. Like I've tried the other movies, I did not like them.
I kind of like the second one, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, I
I
understand
haven't
what
seen.
you mean as well.
I haven't seen the second one yet, so I've yet to judge.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see why. Because the second one is the one I is it spoilered or do you know already? Do you know what they're up against in the
It's
second
like a
one?
nun, but it's a demon nun.
Yeah, it's a demon nun. Yeah.
It's a demon.
Wala lang.
Yeah.
It's just I enjoyed it because I enjoyed I enjoyed watching Ed and Lorraine.
Yeah, that's the best
In
part of
the
the second
movie.
one.
Yes, the best part of the second one. Really, it's just them.
Yeah.
They carry this franchise like it's no problem. I have to actually watch the third one myself, but we'll see.
You can skip it.
I don't know, but I just want to see Patrick Wilson again too. Okay, like it's not so hard to want to
I
watch.
mean-
Watch Aquaman.
I want to watch Aquaman.
I already watched Aquaman. I want to watch something else.
watch Phantom of the Opera again. I'm not, you don't have to.
Why are you? Just let me watch what I want to watch, guys.
Sure.
No.
Just let me watch.
We're fucking around. Anyway, what would you rate the first Conjuring?
The first Conjuring. You first because I actually have to think about it a little
Okay.
bit.
Because for me, I'm giving it a solid 9 out of 10. Because I swear, there's no other movie that stumped me like this. Well, there's one movie called Shutter, and hopefully we could do a review on it soon.
Oh, I have opinions on that.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch that because I remember that shit scared me. Anyway, Conjuring and like, what was the other? Insidious.
Yeah.
Insidious.
Insidious,
Terrifying.
and there was another movie
Saw.
with Ethan Hawke.
Mm. Mm. I'm blanking.
Wait, hold on, let me Google it. Please keep talking.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Sinister.
Sinister. There you go. So it was Insidious, Conjuring, and Sinister. They came out in almost the exact same time span,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just straight up good horror movie after good horror movie after good horror movie. And these things are for me like the three, kings of horror movies in my opinion. And they're the ones that when I keep watching them, no matter how many times I watch them, if I watch them at night with the eyes closed, I'm all alone, it will send shivers down my spine. I will say that the person, I forgot his name, the one that's been doing Hereditary and Midsommar,
Ari Aster.
Oh, I know.
Ari
Yeah.
Aster, he's getting up there. Like he's like starting to like break that wall. Yeah.
What's your opinion, really quick, or what's your opinion on Jordan Peele and his horror movies, naman?
Jordan Peele is
It's good horror movies.
it is good horror movies in my opinion. But
He's
like,
another one for me, like Ari Aster, and then there's Jordan Peele. Sorry, go on.
alright. He's kind of more of like, in my opinion, the Twilight Zone kind of scare,
Mm.
Yeah.
where
No, it makes sense.
it's a mix of like, what do you call it? Like it's more of like a universe. I forgot what you call it, but y'all
No,
get what I mean.
I get what you mean. I know
Yeah.
the style that you're going for. It's just
Yeah.
hard to
Cosmic
put it
horror.
into
There we go.
words.
Cosmic.
Cosmic horror. There you go.
It's more of
yeah.
like a cosmic horror kind of vibe, except for Get Out, of course. But with Us, it's starting to feel like that. And I can't count them in there yet because cosmic horror does not really scare me that much.
Yeah.
But I will
No,
say
that
those
makes
are really
sense.
good films.
Yes,
but
very good films.
For me, in my opinion, the things that really scare me are the really good horror films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
I can't really think of any gripes for the first Conjuring. Like, I watched it again, I was like, God damn, it's a really good movie.
It is.
So I'm gonna give this a really high score. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. I really like this movie. As it ages like fine wine, to be honest. Like, I can watch it again and again, and as Jummer said much earlier, this is one of the horror movies that will live out like fine wine for the rest of its life. Like, I'm sure years from now it'll be preserved in like the U.S. Library of Congress because it's such a great movie.
Dang, that's
Yeah,
high
yeah,
praise
that's-
from
that's
Enzo.
high- that's high praise.
And
It's a pretty
for
good
Yeah.
one.
what Nino was hinting at earlier, like some modern horror movies, they're fine, but like Ari Aster, I haven't seen those two, but I hear they're good. Jordan Peele and the recent It movies, those are like what a good modern horror movie has.
Yeah, more
be
modern
or-
horror.
Sets the
Yeah.
standard of what it's supposed to be today.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited for our Stephen King because I really enjoyed it, but that's another story. It's very hard for me to give a 10 because that is, for me personally, I've not explained to people my way of watching movies, but I very rarely ever give a 10 because that means it's a perfect movie. But 9 is the closest I will give it because I too do not have gripes, and I think this is the first movie that made me enjoy horror. And that's saying something because I really enjoyed horror as a kid too. But I only really enjoyed horror games. I didn't enjoy movies. So that's a different genre on this medium in and of itself. But it was very hard to beat out things like, let's say, Silent Hill. It was very hard to beat out things like Fatal Frame. Like, those really scared me as a kid. So horror movies had a very difficult time beating it out. But watching The Conjuring as a 13-year-old kid who was obsessed with horror, I really enjoyed it. And it's a 9 out of 10 for me, and that's it. That's all I'll give it. So, thank you. Thank you.
Since you mentioned video games, what are you guys' favorite horror video games, and what's your favorite moment from those games?
Anything by
Yeah.
Fatal Frame, holy hell, it's just nah. Nah.
Someone
Okay.
please make a gif of that.
Nah.
Steven,
It's really scary.
Mm.
I hate the mechanics because you have to get close for it to work.
Yeah.
And it's really scary. I really actually enjoyed the first horror game though that I really enjoyed before I heard about Fatal Frame was the Grudge Wii game.
Oh shit!
I hated that shit.
I hated that.
fucking hated that shit.
It's like I'm gonna piss on
what
the
I-
floor. Goodbye,
What I hate
folks.
about that game was it's so convoluted. It would ask you to like, oh, there's a piece of paper sticking out of the TV. How am I supposed to fucking know that? Like,
Yeah,
would
it's
give you-
it's a really
yeah,
bad game.
you had to
but
look
it's
for-
a really scary game.
Yeah, you had to look for a walkthrough for that game.
Yeah.
I hate the fact when your character turns this way and then the grudge is right in front of you. Like, ah! Like,
Yeah, that was
I quit. I quit life. I quit this game.
Yeah.
A horror game for me. One horror game that I really sat through was Dead Space 1. And to
that's
be
a scary
honest-
game.
To be honest, like Dead Space 3, Dead Space 2 actually kind of surpassed it. Yeah, I would say that. And it was just, I don't know. There are a lot of horrible scenes in Dead Space 1 and 2. But there was this one thing that really freaked me out is that there was a washing machine and it was on. And there was crying and something inside it that's shaking the washing machine. And I was like, fuck this game. I swear to God, fuck this game. And it's a child crying. Just so that you all know.
It's always the children. It's always the children.
It's always the
everyone.
children.
It's always-
God damn it, children.
Three really come to mind. One being Alien Isolation because they did the AI on the Xenomorph so well. It's like it's not even fair how this thing has a mind of its own. It's like even like, alright, I can beat it this way. I can beat it this way, and you don't have any weapons. You're not a colonial marine where you have a gun. You just have a dinky flamethrower and a pistol. Like, Lord help me, please. The fucking Xenomorph is after
Oh
me.
my God, that's the only time we'll ever see Enzo just.
Yeah.
And it can get you multiple ways. You're like, I don't see it. And then the last thing you know is like, why is there drool on the floor? Where's it? It's coming from the ceiling. Fuck me.
It's in the trees. Oh wait, no, wrong
Yeah.
alien.
Anyway, the second one is The Last of Us. The sequence where they're escaping the first town and they're in the subway and you're just surrounded by multiple clickers and in fact you're like, fuck that. And the scene where Joel is stuck in the basement of the hotel and he has to set off generators to make the elevator work. And these things are sensitive to sound. And you hear the big boy bloater just thumping like, shh, 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 just shut up, just shut up. One more pause. Then,
I love how you're telling the generator to shut up
Yeah.
when the time when you get it to work, it's gonna be the loudest fucking thing in the room.
That's what I said. Boy, fuck this shit. Say what you will about the second game, but the Rat King, that shit was freaky. Like,
I love that one because you're playing as Abby. I felt invincible.
yeah, and also like that one from, I felt like The Last of Us borrowed a lot from like Sam Raimi, Resident Evil, body horror, because that was great.
Yeah.
That's the horror I really love. But yeah,
Anyway. Yeah,
those three horror games that really stick in my mind. Like, wow, you really traumatized me. Great job, guys.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I think we were off topic, really off topic there. So
I mean, it was horror related.
It is
horror, it is horror.
Halloween
Yeah.
season, so
Yeah.
it is Halloween
Yeah.
season. If anything, video games should be its own topic for our
I would love to do. I would love to do a
Yeah.
video
Yeah,
game.
I'd love to talk about what scared us as children. I have so many horror games that I want to talk about too. But
Same
anyway,
here.
Enzo, take us
And-
away.
Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for watching our videos. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/geeksanddegenerates. We also have a Discord community if you want to hang out with us, talk with us. We don't bite, we're friendly. And you can find these guys on Instagram and Twitter individually, right, guys?
Yes.
Or do you have, I don't even have a Twitch. Right?
Yeah, but it's the same as my Instagram, just Naina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how's your Twitter account, Jomer?
Doing really good. Oh no,
It's blurred out.
Oh,
as
look
a
at that! See,
hentai.
you gotta go to my Instagram to see.
Is it not safe for work? Is that why it's blurred out?
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's why it's not safe for work. Hello.
Come to my OnlyFans.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
And you know, the next video might be on one that's considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time. So look forward to that. Anyway, thank you once again. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Continue to social distance, wear a mask, get vaccinated if you can. We are hopefully entering the last stages of this. Hopefully, hopefully we will see days where we are hanging out, and you'll see a day where we're all filming together in one separate location. I mean, separate, single location.
Single location. Jesus.
Yes.
That'd be so weird if it was that way. Like, it's fine. Why are you still doing this? Never mind. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Ah!